her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every in Detroit, she's better than all of you. Does he have to go to the WNBA, where he will score 840 points a game?
Dave Chappelle has continued to troll the woke culture with his provoking comedy. Regardless of the backlash and censorship, the iconic stand-up legend has stayed keen on addressing trans ideology with every chance he gets.
If I put on an Argyle sweater and I'm like, hey everybody, I feel like a white guy in this sweater and I want some goddamn respect and a bank loan, that's not gonna work.
Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying this content, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Over 99% of our viewers watch without subscribing, and your support will help us share these topics with a wider audience. It only takes a few seconds. Have you hit that subscribe button? Awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's get back to the video. Starting with this stand-up comedy show, where Dave Chappelle went directly for the LGBTQ community.
The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people.
Chappelle went directly for the bull's horn, not minding the fact that fellow comedian Kevin Hart got canceled for the same reason.
You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger.
Apparently, Chappelle believes he has been in the game for long enough to hold his own with any form of comedic material, and he is clearly of the opinion that he can certainly push the boundaries of his comedy toward this line.
I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's. People be surprised. I have friends, all kinds of letters. Everybody loves me and I love everybody.
What Dave said was exactly meant to touch on the woke mob ideologies. He clearly wasn't holding back on his views, and the crowd seemed to be riled up for Dave Chappelle's hilarious deliveries.
I can't stop telling jokes about these niggas. I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop.
Dave Chappelle accused himself of causing all the issues, as he has boldly claimed to be unable to stop making jokes about the LGBT community. Whatever consequences he ensures, he believes he is ready to deal with it.
LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together.
His next attack on the woke media came in one of Chappelle's iconic and dramatic storytelling style of comedy, and his delivery carried the impact he intended it to. In this case, Chappelle talked about the first time he met Jim Carrey.
He says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, yes, I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon.
Chappelle described the whole scenario of meeting Jim Carrey in a movie set and went on about how Jim was extremely engrossed in the role he was playing. And at this point, the audience, although amused, had no idea where Chappelle was going with the narration.
And Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life as Andy Kaufman. I didn't know that.
Dave Chappelle would go on to talk about Jim Carrey's entire work attitude and how he had to pretend that Jim Carrey was someone else all day long.
So much so that everybody on the crew called him Andy. I didn't know any of that. I just went there to meet him, and when he walked into the room where we were supposed to meet, I screamed, Jim Carrey! And everyone said, no!
By the time Dave finally sends the finishing blow, everyone in the audience is left in shock and amused as Chappelle describes the feeling of having to pretend Jim Carrey was someone else to how he feels about trans people.
And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
Nobody expected Dave Chappelle to make such comments about trans, but that is the personality that Chappelle intends to portray with his comedic twist. A certain level of unpredictable character seems to add excitement to his character, in Chappelle's opinion.
It's like that white black that's in the news all the time. Rachel Dolezal. She always says that. She's a white woman, but then she dressed up.
Dave Chappelle has always been critical of Rachel Dolezal. His attack on her is based on what is believed to be her woke appropriation of the black race, which, according to Chappelle, is completely insane and mind-bugging.
And I always wanted to meet her just so I could understand. I just wanted to have dinner with her so I could just look in her eyes and call her to her face.
Dave Chappelle's hilarious take on Dolezal later shifted to his comparison of her claim to that of trans people, which, according to Chappelle, is clearly different.
Talking about, I identify black. That is trans talk, ladies. Stop biting. Stop biting.
According to Chappelle, it is way easier to believe transgenders than to take people like Rachel Dolezal. Chappelle believes that at least trans people do undergo surgery, which makes their claim of dysmorphia way more believable.
I believe transgenders. I don't understand them either, but I know they mean what they say. Them niggas cut their dicks off. Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every in Detroit, she's better than all of you.
In this next video, Chappelle makes a joke about Caitlyn Jenner, a trans woman who, after transitioning, was named Woman of the Year.
Oh, I'd be mad as shit if I was a woman. I'd be mad if I was me. If I was in a BET Awards sitting there and they're like, and the winner for the year, Eminem, my man.
It's clear that Dave Chappelle is trying to express his outrage through a comedic medium, and regardless of how he puts it, he makes an effort to make it clear how disturbed he really is by this development in society.
Gender is a fact. This is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact.
Dave Chappelle is clearly aware of the fact that a lot of people are afraid of speaking on woke culture and trans issues. Still, the comedian is very deliberate in his attempt to separate himself from those whom he feels are afraid to speak up against trans culture.
That trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those pussies that they got, you know what I mean?
He takes every chance he gets to speak his mind on all issues relating to wokeness. Chappelle has consistently attacked the trans movement and doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon.
Okay, here it goes. Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm gonna try to take everything away from you.
Dave Chappelle took a bold step to go directly against the audience. His take on the cancel culture tactics, which he believes are used by the woke mob, is that of a crowd of people looking carefully to find any faults against people, regardless of the distinctions between celebrities and just ordinary people.
Who's that? That's you. That's what the audience sounds like to me.
Chappelle's bold move to attack his audience on their roles in the cancellation of celebrities and other personalities is just wild. It is not everyone we get to see comedians attack their entire audience on live television.
That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all is the worst I've ever tried to entertain in my life.
Here is another clip of Dave Chappelle using one of his iconic storytelling tactics to deliver another blow on woke culture in the most hilarious deliveries ever. He begins the story by recounting an event during the COVID years.
Sadly, it worked. I ran right over there. I said, I pointed right in the camera. I said, "You's a bitch for doing this to me."
Dave Chappelle has a way of riling up crowds before he delivers the actual final touch to his storytelling. Most people didn't anticipate the ending that he gave this comedy delivery, and the momentum only grew as he told the story.
This fella's gay. Now, you know how I talk. I call everybody a, you know what I mean? But that's not a right thing to do if they're gay, you know what I mean? And now I was in trouble.
By this point, everyone was expecting the punchline, and Dave Chappelle knew exactly what he had planned out for this particular delivery.
How could I be scared? shirt was tied up in a knot like this. Oh, fuck this guy. Let's go. I thought we were gonna come to blows. I was ready.
Chappelle's punchline left the crowd dumbfounded as he shifted from the LGBT issues to the issues talking about the racial minority and how he believes the woke movement manipulates these factors to push their agenda.
Gay people are minorities until they need to be white again.
Chappelle moved to another story about his encounter with a lesbian, and by the time he was done, the whole crowd was certain he was making another trans joke as usual.
This woman claimed that I beat her up in a nightclub because she was a lesbian. That crazy. Bitch, I didn't even know you was a woman.
Dave Chappelle's attacks on the trans movement have brought him under a lot of fire. Still, it seems like the comedy icon doesn't mind the media attention that his comedy generates. He constantly goes on rampages on the trans culture, regardless of the impending backlash from the woke left.
She said, stop calling me a man. I'm a woman. I said, what?
The crowd seemed to enjoy the whole scenario that Chappelle describes about his confusion with a trans lesbian.
Even when I watch sports, I be thinking about, think about, okay, say LeBron James changed his gender.
More clips of Chappelle talking about the transgender equality movement, especially in the area of sports competition. It's obvious that Dave Chappelle doesn't get tired of throwing jabs at the trans mob, something he has become famous for.
Can he stay in the NBA, or, because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game?
Some believe that Dave Chappelle's assertion that LeBron James would score over 800 points if he joined the WNBA is far-fetched. But it seems like Dave Chappelle is extremely convinced of this outcome, despite the backlash he has suffered. Chappelle fails to relent, despite promising never to make trans jokes on countless occasions.
What does it actually mean to be equal? You know what I mean? Like, if women are actually equal to men, then there would be no WNBA, would there? You would just be good enough to play in the NBA with us.
His jokes about people have made Dave Chappelle take on newfound fame, and most of it is centered around his constant bashing of the trans community.
You could shut
The pronoun battle is something Dave Chappelle has taken quite seriously. His confusion with the whole issue of personalized pronouns is something most people struggle with, but are way too timid to talk about. Not for Dave Chappelle, though.
If I put on an Argyle sweater and I'm like, hey everybody, I feel like a white guy in this sweater and I want some goddamn respect and a bank loan, that's not gonna work. God, I feel, why should I give a how you feel? It's a pronoun.
He has found his way of making sure he talks about it every time he holds a microphone. This story about his misgendering experience is one of many he has told to shed light on his confusion with the trans movement.
It appears that her dick is popping out of her dress. You mind if I call an ambulance, champ? I'd rather not be at a party where a tranny ODs. There's too many questions to answer.
Dave Chappelle has continued to be one of the faces of stand-up comedy, despite the continued backlash he has faced for his intense comments on woke culture. What do you think about Dave Chappelle's take on trans people and woke culture? Please leave your comments below. That's all for today, guys. Please like and subscribe to see more content about the anti-woke culture.